Cannondale filed for bankruptcy in 2003. Schwinn collapsed into a corporate ghost label in 1992. Pinarello was quietly sold to a private equity firm backed by the Louis Vuitton luxury empire. When you hand over your money to the wrong brand, you are not buying a bicycle. You are buying someone else's exit strategy. After our video exposing 10 cycling brands only dumb people buy, thousands of you asked the same question: what can I actually trust? We applied 3 tests to every brand in the cycling world: manufacturing continuity, repairability, and value integrity. Only 8 passed. We are counting them down from number 8. And number 8 is a brand we called out for robbing you blind, and it still earned its place on this list. Number 8. Trek. In our video exposing 10 cycling brands only dumb people buy, we called out Trek's $14,000 Madone as the ultimate proprietary ecosystem trap. A bicycle engineered to hold your wallet hostage long after the initial purchase. A machine where a cracked handlebar forces you to spend $699 on a proprietary replacement nobody else makes. But Trek built 2 completely different philosophies into one brand. The one the marketing department never talks about is the domain AL. Here is what the Madone marketing will not tell you. The domain AL runs a standard alpha aluminum frame with no closed ecosystem. Every component is interchangeable with standard third-party parts any mechanic on Earth can source and replace. When something breaks, and eventually something always breaks, you are never trapped. Trek backs the domain AL with a lifetime frame warranty, not 5 years, not 10 years, lifetime. The frame retails from $750, putting genuine Trek engineering within reach of every rider. At $750 to $2,000 fully built, the total cost of ownership over a decade drops to as low as $75 to $200 per year. That is the mathematical definition of a buy-it-for-life bicycle. You are not buying the brand that robbed you blind. You are buying the one product inside that brand built to outlast everything else in your garage. Number 7. Scott. Scott does not appear on the mood boards of cycling influencers. It does not drop limited editions or manufacture artificial scarcity. It has been quietly engineering bicycles since 1958, now headquartered in Switzerland. In all that time, it has never been sold to a conglomerate, never been flipped by a private equity firm, never abandoned its engineering philosophy for a marketing calendar. In 1989, Scott invented the aerodynamic time trial handlebar. Greg LeMond bolted it onto his bike and won the Tour de France by 8 seconds, the closest margin in the race's entire history. That one innovation changed professional cycling forever. Scott did not license it for profit. They used it as proof of what their engineering could do. Today, the Scott Speedster aluminum road bike retails at $419, function before fashion, durability before decoration. The Shimano drivetrain is serviceable at any bike shop on Earth. The aluminum frame is engineered to outlast the components bolted to it. Over a conservative 15-year ownership span, the annual cost drops to under $100 per year, less than the price of a single casual dinner, for a bicycle built by the same company that changed the Tour de France. You are not buying a lifestyle brand. You are buying 68 years of engineering credibility that has never once been for sale. Number 6. Canyon. Canyon did not disrupt the cycling industry by making better bikes. They disrupted it by doing the math out loud, proving that the traditional retail model was quietly taxing every cyclist by 30 to 40%, for nothing more than a local dealer's commercial lease and showroom overhead. Roman Arnold launched the first Canyon bicycle in 1996 from his engineering facility in Koblenz, Germany. From the beginning, the model was built on one radical premise: cut out every middleman between the factory and the rider. No distributors, no dealerships, no showroom markups, just a website, a warehouse, and a shipping box. Canyon's engineering autonomy remains intact regardless of who holds the investment shares. The direct-to-consumer model is structural, not cosmetic. Here is the number that exposed the entire industry. A Canyon Aeroad CX8 Shimano Ultegra 2 group set, deep section carbon wheels retails from Canyon's website for $6,199. To get that identical specification from Trek or Specialized, you are handing over anywhere from $8,500 to over $9,000. Canyon forced the industry to admit that the $2,000 to $3,000 gap is not engineering, it is rent. Before every frame leaves Germany, Canyon subjects it to industrial CT scanning, the same technology used in aerospace manufacturing. At $6,199, that is $413 per year over a 15-year riding life, you are not paying for a middleman's rent. You are paying purely for the engineering, and the engineering is winning grand tours. Number 5, Orbea. Brands in this industry get acquired by private equity, flipped to conglomerates, and handed to shareholders who have never touched a bicycle. Orbea does not fit that pattern. It never has. Orbea was founded in 1840 in the Basque Country of Spain. For the first 129 years, it manufactured a range of products. In 1969, the workers made a decision. They voted to convert the company into a worker-owned cooperative, part of the Mondragon Corporation, one of the largest worker cooperative networks on Earth. No shareholders, no dividend extractions, no private equity firms prying open the books at the expense of quality. The people building your bicycle own the company building your bicycle. Over 250,000 bicycles leave that factory in Malabia, Spain every year. That ownership structure is not a marketing story. It is the reason Orbea has never been sold. Every decision is made by people with a lifelong stake in the outcome. Frame geometry, material specification. The Mayoff custom paint program at zero additional cost. The Orbea Orca M30 2099. That is $200 per year over a 15-year riding life. Every cent of that $200 funds the engineering, the workers, and the next generation of bikes. Not a private equity partner's quarterly distribution. You are not buying a bicycle from a corporation. You are buying one from the people who built it with their own hands and their own stake in getting it right. 5 brands in. Everyone earned its place through documented ownership, verified engineering, and a price reflecting the actual cost of building something to last. If you already have a brand in mind for the top 3, drop it in the comments. The next 3 entries are where this list gets genuinely difficult to argue with. Number 4, Van Rysel. In 2024, a bicycle brand that did not exist 5 years ago won 30 professional races at the highest level of the sport. Not 30 minor races, 30 major victories on the World Tour. The same circuit where Trek, Specialized, and Pinarello have spent decades and hundreds of millions of dollars building their racing credibility. Van Rysel celebrated its 5th birthday that year and spent it collecting stage wins. Van Rysel was created in 2019 as Decathlon's dedicated performance cycling brand. Behind it sits a €15 billion global supply chain and a direct-to-consumer model with zero dealer markup. Their wind tunnel program runs at CNES, the French National Space Agency, the same facility used to develop aerospace technology. Now do the math the industry hopes you never run. The Van Rysel RCR Pro, the same from set being ridden to World Tour victories, retails at $6,900. A comparable carbon frame with equivalent electronic group set specification from Trek or Specialized sits between $12,000 and $15,000. The gap between $6,999 and $15,000 is $8,001. That is not a pricing difference, that is a confession. Van Rysel did not close that gap by cutting corners. They cut out the dealer, the distributor, the marketing agency. The sponsorship budget every legacy brand buries inside your purchase price. At $6,999, the annual cost of ownership over 15 years is $67 per year. For a bicycle that is actively winning professional races while you ride it, you are not buying a new brand. You are buying the proof that the legacy price was never justified. Number 3, Surly. The cycling industry spent 2 decades on one argument. Lighter is better, carbon is the destination, and last year's aluminum is already obsolete. Surly built its entire brand on the premise that all of it is wrong. Surly was founded in 1998 under the Quality Bicycle Products umbrella in Minnesota. From the first frame, they made one commitment every other brand abandoned: 4130 chromoly steel, double-butted main triangle, standard threaded bottom bracket. On every single model, no exceptions, no proprietary standards. No ecosystem designed to force you back to Surly for parts. Here is what that commitment means in practice. A Surly frame can be repaired by any competent mechanic at any bike shop on Earth. Every component speaks a language the entire industry understands. No proprietary headset. No press-fit bottom bracket requiring a specialist tool. No through-axle standard that only Surly stocks. When something breaks on a Surly, your repair bill is a parts cost, not a search cost. Steel does not accumulate fatigue the way aluminum does. Every load cycle on an aluminum frame deposits microfractures into the material, a documented engineering property. Most manufacturers quietly build finite service life limits into their aluminum frames as a result. Chromoly steel behaves differently. A properly maintained Surly chromoly frame does not have an expiration date. The Surly Straggler retails at $99 over 15 years, that is $113 per year. Over 20 years of documented community ownership, because these frames regularly last that long, the cost drops to $85 per year. You are not buying a bicycle, you are buying the last one you will ever need to justify. Number 2. Cube. In 1993, Marcus Perner began building bicycles in 50 square meters of his father's furniture factory in Waldershof, Bavaria. He had no investors, no venture capital, and no acquisition strategy. He had a workshop, a workbench, and an engineering philosophy. 33 years later, Cube generates over 1 billion euros in annual revenue and sells more than 1 million bicycles per year across 60 countries. Headquarters and final assembly, still Waldershof, Bavaria. The production area has grown from 50 square meters to 55,000 square meters, a 1,100-fold expansion funded entirely from operating revenue, not investor capital. Marcus Perner still owns the company. No private equity firm has ever held a share. No conglomerate has ever pried open the books. The decision-making structure inside Cube in 2026 is functionally identical to what it was in 1993. One owner, one engineering standard, one town. Here is what that ownership continuity produces in practical terms. Every Cube bicycle undergoes testing that exceeds legal safety requirements before it leaves Bavaria. Not because a regulator demands it, because the person who owns the company has his name on every frame that ships, and he has nowhere to hide when something fails. Standard Shimano and SRAM components throughout. No proprietary ecosystem, no part strategy designed to keep your wallet inside the Cube supply chain indefinitely. The Cubitane road bike retails from approximately $100. Over 15 years, that is $73 per year. For a bicycle engineered in the same building where Marcus Perner built his first frame with no external capital and no exit plan. You are not buying a product from a portfolio company, you are buying from the man who built the first one himself. Number 1, the Specialized Allez. Every other brand on this list earned its place by doing something the industry ignored. Van Rysel exposed the price lie. Canyon did the math out loud. Orbi chose workers over shareholders. Cube never left the town where it started. Surly refused the materials arms race. The Allez earned its place by refusing to become something else. Specialized has spent 4 decades engineering increasingly exotic machines. The S-Works Tarmac at $15,000 with a proprietary handlebar. A press-fit bottom bracket that requires a specialist tool to service. The Vengi with its aerodynamic integrated cockpit that turns a cable replacement into a 2-hour workshop appointment. Every year, Specialized pushed proprietary ecosystem trap we exposed in our earlier videos. And every year, the Allez sat quietly in the catalog. Same E5 premium aluminum frame. Same standard threaded bottom bracket. Same cable routing any mechanic on Earth can open and close in 10 minutes. Standard parts, standard geometry, carbon fork from the factory, no proprietary systems, no ecosystem trap, no upgrade path that requires specialized permission. The Allez has been in continuous production since the early 1980s, over 4 decades. That is longer than most brands on this list have existed. Professional riders use it in training camps because it is the most honest bike Specialized makes. Your local bike shop can service every component on it without ordering a single proprietary part. The Specialized Allez starts at $12 over 15 years, that is $80 per year. For a bicycle with 4 decades of documented reliability. A frame engineered by the same company that builds the Tour de France machine without the Tour de France price. You are not buying the entry-level option. You are buying the only version of Specialized that was never designed to replace itself. Across all 8 brands, one pattern stands unbroken. Manufacturing continuity, repairability, and value integrity, the 3 criteria every brand on this list passed and most of the industry quietly abandoned years ago. The cycling market will keep selling you the story that better costs more. These 8 brands are the proof that trust costs exactly what good engineering costs, nothing extra. Drop your number one in the comments. If you disagree with the Allez at the top of this list, make the argument.